I've been advised not to, but I've been accused of having a short fuse, so I'm going to try to make that fuse a little longer. I was vilified in the Beckley paper Saturday, excuse me, by Damon Kane. And the way the article came out, it appeared that I was anti-veteran, and maybe with just a tinge of a racist edge to it, both of which are wrong. And I think I have plenty of documentation and friends who would back that up. I've been very supportive of the veterans outfits over the years, having spoken at the VAW in post 70 and post 32, and have arranged, at times helped arrange to have the VAF cemetery cut when it was very long before Memorial Day. So anyhow, and then I will publicly apologize to Mary West for my childish behavior when I exited the dais at the last meeting. That was childlike, but that wasn't the real reason that I did that. During the week that Congressman Ray Hall's archives are going to be dedicated just a block down the street, we had the governor, we had the national senator Joe Manchin, we had 3 college presidents, we had former Congressman Bob Wise, former Governor Bob Wise as well. Had a lot of dignitaries. And for whatever reason, that particular week, and I was advised by our city attorney to ignore it, but this individual set up camp with the loudest, most obscene bullhorn you could imagine across the street. And I had, excuse me, ma'am, I'll finish. So president of the university and the dean of students asked me, this appears like this protest is being sponsored by the university, which it's not, but it's right between the admissions office and right between the president's office. So again, I asked our attorney, I need to stop this. Well, I was advised, ignore it and it'll go away. Well, that was Monday, that was Tuesday. Susan Miller, who's a pretty tough cookie, who's my assistant, became so agitated trying to make phone calls, trying to conduct business with this blaring noise immediately across the street from roughly 1 in the afternoon till 5, that she said, I have to go home. Well, when Susan Miller tells me she can't work, she has to go home, I know it's pretty bad. And I was offended as well. It was obscene, it was blaring. So that happened Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday morning rolls around, and it's the time when Senator Manchin, Congresswoman Miller, the governor, Jim Justice, other dignitaries, 3 or 4 college presidents were coming to town, along with certainly retired Congressman Mr. Ray Hall. And I was advised that, number one, this protest is blocking the sidewalk. It's very loud, and people actually have to walk in the street when they approach this protest. So I just bring that up to say, maybe I have a short fuse, but I think it was pretty lazy journalism on the part of the Beckley newspaper not to take this into account, because I had confided in Josephine about what was bringing me to this stage. It wasn't a momentary thing where I have a short fuse and going to go off the deep end. It was a culmination of an event that embarrassed the city in front of a national group of visitors. So that's and again, on that third day, again, in front of the Dean of Business at WVU Tech, was asked, how long is this going to go on? And this was after the ceremony, and I knew the people who attended this wonderful ceremony were going to be coming and going from the central area there at the Robert C. Byrd Learning Center up to Carter Hall, and we're going to have to try to navigate through this noise and this blocked sidewalk. So that's when my city attorney says, well, that's enough. So thank you, Chief Bailey, for taking care of that in a very peaceful way. But I just want to make that clear. I think I was, and I don't want to be a crybaby, but I think I was very unjustly vilified in that article. And I think that had Damon Kane taken the time to listen to Josephine or do a little research more than he chose to pick some negative story out of what in my mind was an understandable complaint on my part, then perhaps things might have been different. But Mary, I apologize to you publicly, and for that, since I missed your last public comments, I see you signed up first. I'd like for you to take 6 minutes tonight to help me on what I missed. So with that, my apologies to everybody. Next order, yes.
Mayor, if I may, before we start, I think we need to be careful here that we don't get into personalities. And I think anybody that is addressing this body is supposed to be addressing the entire body, not one individual. There should be no name calling. It shouldn't work either way. So I think we need to be professional. We are here to do the city's business. And the rules do actually require people to act professionally in doing so. There should be no addressing an individual or calling them out or calling them a name. And I think it's very important that we don't get on a slippery slope, which we were about to get on, where personalities seem to be coming out. Let's all be professional. Let's do what we need to do. The city's got a lot of business that needs to be taken care of. There are a lot of great things happening. Let's do not get off track. So the request would be, and it can be based up by law if need be, is that anybody that wants to address the city should do so to address city business. That's the purpose of public comments, and we keep everything far from being personal. It is not supposed to be personal. You're addressing the city, not an individual. So it is important that we get back to being professionals up here and throughout the audience. We appreciate you all being professional, and let's do the best we can for the city. We've got a lot of great projects going on. There are going to be a lot of important decisions made by this group, and let's do it the right way and just move forward. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor. Notice I didn't use your name. Thank you very much. First order of business, reading and approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting dated August 8th, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign. Motion carries. Next, appointment of Noah Cap to the Police Civil Service Commission. His term is 4 years and will expire June 30th. Noah Cap and his wife Tiffany operate at work, who were very helpful with Leslie and her group in their efforts to keep the pool open at New River Park, and supplied some very dependable lifeguards. So Noah's very involved in a number of different very good civic activities. So with that, I would ask for a motion to approve his appointment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Noah Cap to the Police Civil Service Commission. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign, thank you.
Abstention, Mayor, just in that they are employees of mine both.
Okay, very
Ms.
good.
Cap,
Thank you.
Mr. Cap.
Did you note that abstention?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Appointment of Troy Miller to the Planning Commission. His term is a 3-year term, which will expire August 31st, 2026. Troy is a long-term Raleigh County school teacher. Those of you who get up early in the morning might see Troy actually jogging through town during the summer when school is out. But he's a fine young man, has 3 youngsters in school. I think they're all at WVU, but I've known Troy for probably going on 40 years, and I think he would be an excellent addition to the Planning Commission. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve Troy to the Planning Commission.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. That was Councilman Bob and Tom. So we have a motion and a second to approve Troy Miller to the Planning Commission. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign, that motion carries. Thank you. Next, receipt of bids for the purchase of one breathing air compressor system for the Beckley Fire Department.
You'll see.
Mr. Trump, we just received the one bid as far as we know?
Yes.
Okay, this is from,
I double-checked, and we only received the one bid.
very good. This is from American Airworks, which has been a very dependable supplier to the Beckley Fire Department over the years. The total for this bid is $45,965. So we'll turn this over to Councilwoman Hunter, Councilman Cody Reedy, maybe Captain Thompson, maybe Chief Wills for further review and possible award at a future meeting. Thank you.
Mayor, I think that one replaces the one when I first came in September of 1990.
Wow.
It's been a while.
Wasn't just you.
Yeah, you were there, yeah.
Well, I'd like to see that 1990 air compressor. That'll be pretty unique looking. Next item of business, first reading of the ordinance granting easement to North Beckley PSD through McManus Trail. Mr. Fowle?
Yes, sir, Mayor. The North Beckley Public Service District has asked the city of Beckley to grant an easement to it. They're doing a project that's going to require them to come through the rails to trail in one location. I prepared an ordinance that would grant this to the city. We will have to do 2 readings on this, as we would any ordinance. This is a very routine matter, but the city of Beckley owns the rails to trails. Because of that, if it grants anything, any property or any right of a property, it's required by state law to do it by an ordinance. And that's what we're doing tonight. This is first reading, and I'll read it by title. The title is an ordinance granting easement to North Beckley Public Service District through Lewis McManus Trail. The document, the actual easement, sets forth what the terms are there. There's no money basically that transpires. Nobody gets paid for this. But the North Beckley Public Service District will have to advise the city when it needs to lay a sewer pipe, which is the purpose of this. And when it does, it'll have to basically do it at a time that would be convenient to the city. So in the event the city has an event planned on the trail that day or that weekend, they'll work with us so that it won't be a conflict. So this just needs to be approved on first reading tonight. Second reading will take place at the first meeting of September. Mayor?
Okay, we have a reading by title of the ordinance as described by Mr. Fowle. All in favor, any discussion on that? Okay, we have a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Have a motion and second to approve the ordinance as described by Mr. Fowle regarding the Beckley PSD and an easement through the Lewis McManus Trail. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign, motion carries. Next, second reading public hearing of an ordinance amending the Beckley zoning code to regulate mobile food trucks. Mr. Fowle?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'll read this ordinance by title. We did first reading, and it was approved at that time at our last meeting. Once I read it by title, I will conduct a public hearing, in which time anybody in the public will have a right to address council regarding this ordinance. What this does is this is an ordinance that basically regulates mobile food vendors in the city of Beckley. This ordinance is titled Ordinance Amending City of Beckley Code Chapter 15, Article 1, by inserting Section 15-37, mobile food vendors, and by adding mobile food vendors as a permitted use in the B1 Neighborhood Highway Business District, B2 General Business District, B3 Courthouse Square, and M Manufacturing District. That is the title of this ordinance. At this time, I will ask if any member of the public has any comments it would like to make. The public hearing is now open. They can make a comment either in favor of or in opposition to this ordinance. There appears to be no comments from the public, Mayor, so I'll close the public hearing and turn it over to you.
Very good, thank you. We've had the first and second reading and public hearing regarding the ordinance regarding food trucks. Any other discussion at this point?
Mayor, I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
The permit, who are they supposed to get the permit from? And I know it's $50.
I would say from our B&O department, wouldn't they? Yeah, from,
I believe it's
Okay.
yeah.
Right, it will, or she can assign somebody else, but it'll be somebody here at City Hall. There'll always be somebody here that
Oh,
can give.
here,
Yes.
Okay.
That can issue the permit.
okay.
Okay, did we have a motion and a second on this?
Not yet.
Okay, do we have a
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the mobile food truck ordinance as described by Mr. Fowle. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that's opposed by a like sign. Second reading public hearing of an ordinance amending the Beckley zoning code to add long-term care facilities as permitted use in B1 neighborhoods and highway business district and in B2 general business district. And I think this was prompted by the, if I'm not mistaken, and Bill Fowle can explain, but I think it was prompted by the Veterans Administration to construct a nursing home within the city limits in the area of Pinecrest Business and Industrial Park. Mr. Fowle?
And you are correct about that, Mayor. Once again, I will read this ordinance by title, and then I will conduct a public hearing, at which time anybody can make a comment from the audience if they choose to. And what this does is this basically adds to the permitted uses in the B1 Neighborhood Highway Business District and B2 General Business District, the term long-term care facility, which is defined in the ordinance, and it's also defined basically in the city code. And there are other zones in the city of Beckley that permit long-term care facilities. For some reason, unbeknownst to us, that was not included when the ordinance, or when the code was adopted in the B1 or B2 districts. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're making it possible to build these, construct them, and operate them in the B1 and B2 districts. This ordinance is titled, Ordinance Amending City of Beckley Code, Chapter 15, Article 1, by inserting sections 15-14A and 15-15A, adding long-term care facilities to the permitted uses in B1 Neighborhood Highway Business District and in B2 General Business District. At this time, I will open the public hearing and ask if any member of the public has any comments he or she'd like to make in favor of or in opposition to this ordinance. There appearing to be no comments, Mayor, I'll close the public hearing and turn it back over to
Very
you.
good, thank you very much. Thank you for your explanation. I hate to call this simply a housekeeping measure, but I think it is fairly ordinary. And any other questions or discussion from Mr. Fowle on this? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to approve the ordinance as presented. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by like sign, that motion carries. Okay, we're down to old business. I got a couple of things here that I'd like to bring up. I will say that Pam Fry, our Director of Public Works, Billy Trump, our Recorder Treasurer, and Jessica Chandler, our CPA and Controller, have worked hard to come up with a way that we can recognize through additional compensation the Board of Public Works employees. And one of the things that, for instance, that has come up recently is the fact that this year, not totally unlike previous years, we have plenty of salt when the weather turns bad. So we feel that there's a significant savings there that we won't have to invest in salt this year. So what I would like to do, if I could, and I'll ask for Bill Fowle's correction on this. Bill, if I meet with just 2 members at a time of City Council, say in my office, that's not, that doesn't go against the sunshine law, does.
Well, actually, Mayor, probably one at a time is what you should do.
Okay,
It's fine for the mayor to call or speak to any council member anytime he or she chooses to, but once you get into 2, and then if you plan to meet with more than 2, I believe we have to be very cautious that we do not violate the Open Meetings Act. I know that's less than a majority, but actually, when you add it together, it becomes a majority, and the discussion has already been taking place, so.
Okay, well, Cody Reedy has been at the tip of the spear on this issue, and I would like, Cody, if you could arrange either early in the morning or late in the evening, anytime that works with you, to come by my office. I'd like to bring you up to date on what we're working on here. And then those of you who would also like to drop in one at a time, feel free to give me a call, or if a phone call is more convenient, I'll be happy to do that. Next, Beckley has, we, along with about 4 other cities in the state, including Morgantown, Lewisburg, and maybe one in Eastern Panhandle, we applied for the Ascend program, which was a more sophisticated remote worker program. And we were declined for that fairly prestigious program the first time around 2 years ago. So we started our own remote worker program, working with the Chamber of Commerce, and did a little remodeling at Tilson's at Black Knight, and it had moderate success there. We had a few people who came in, but I think due to that effort and the fact that now we are a member of the New River Highland, New River Gorge Ascend program, I think that those early efforts to be a remote worker city here in Beckley have paid off. So we're excited about that, and we'll continue to work on that. So that's about all I have under old business. Anything else from any member of council under old business?
Mayor, briefly, I hate to direct this directly to council after council encouraged us to be careful not to direct things to people. But with respect to, if I could ask Mr. Fowle, with respect to our prior meetings regarding city manager, Mr. Fowle, if you're an attorney like me, deadlines help. Have you thought about how long it would take for us to be able to get the ordinances necessary to effectuate that change, and when they might be prepared? Because the workshop we had where the Chamber of Commerce representatives and everyone came and spoke was really informative and helpful, and I just, whenever I hear from those folks, where are we? I just don't know what to tell them, and I don't mean to sound pushy or what have you.
No, that's a great question, Mr. Dunlap. The plan is to have first reading in the first meeting in October. Second meeting will be the latter part of October.
I literally wrote October 1st thinking that's probably what you'd say, but okay. I appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anything else from any member of council under old business?
I have something. I know it's been probably almost 2 years now. We talked about the new city map, and I don't know what made it come to my mind. Over the weekend, I was driving and I was thinking about it. Did that ever, did it change? Did we pass on? I know we had a workshop on it when we were talking about how each ward was going to be changed and stuff. Is that going into effect this election coming up, or did we vote on it? I just didn't know. I remember having the workshop, and I have can't remember anything else that happened after that.
We had worked on redrawing the wards.
Yeah.
I don't think we quite finalized it because we were waiting for some more census data, but I think Captain Coughlin with the fire department and I worked on it extensively, and we're trying to balance the population in every ward as much as possible.
Yeah.
So.
And I knew that's what we were doing. Like I said, I remember we had the workshop, and I was just trying to figure out, because I know we talked about how wacky they were. I know my grandparents, they live on Highland Street, and they're in Ward 4, and the people right across the street from there are in Ward 2, and I just had people ask, what ward they're in, so I didn't want to tell them what they're in now, and then we change it come election time.
We will have that pretty much worked out and finalized before the election.
Okay.
So, but I don't think there'll be, there may be some changes around the board, around the borders, but I don't think it'll affect, won't be some drastic effects, because there are a lot of streets that you're on one ward on one side and if you got an even address, you're in one ward. If you got an odd address, you're in another.
Yeah.
So we'll be working on that.
Sounds good.
And that will have to be completed by the end of this year.
Yeah.
prior to anybody signing up for the next term.
And also I had a question, is there any progress on Stifler? Are we planning on another workshop or figured out anything about that?
I defer to probably Code and Mr. Fowle. I know that we did present an estimate of repairs that Thrasher came up with, and I think that estimate indicated some public and private partnership. But Bill, do you have any updates on that?
No, sir, I don't, but that is something we need to, and I think we owe it to the residents of Stifler to get on that.
I think last time we were talking
What's
about
that?
needing stormwater. I didn't know if anybody had
Stormwater
took it to
is-
them first.
Right, stormwater is the primary issue
Yeah.
there.
I didn't know if there was any movement there,
We need to-
stormwater fixing it or not.
Right, we needed to.
You know, my guess is, and I have not had an update, but you're exactly right. Stormwater was one thing that we felt that we could do and do it on our own dime, because they are in our watershed. So we probably need to get an update to find out where that is on the list. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Mayor, on that boundary about the wards and things, I hope you would include us council members before the final, marking, because I remember vaguely about how the ward, like over North Witherspoon and Crescent Road and Northwestern, it kind of Ward 3 started to loop all the way around that part of it where maybe, it could be divided off differently, where the Ward 1 would be more concentrated and it wouldn't be so, look like fingers coming out of Ward 3. I'd like to sit down on the map and show somebody what we were talking about.
We won't gerrymander anything.
Anything else from any member of council under old business?
Very briefly, I wanted to thank Mr. Kelly for getting back with us about why we couldn't attend the department meeting last week. And I appreciate you responding and letting us know that we may be able to attend the one upcoming next week. But thank you for responding. I know how busy you are anyway, so I appreciate you.
Anything else from any member of council under old business? Anything from any member of council under new business?
Yeah, I think this is old and new business all put together. The ribbon cutting was very well organized at Stratton Elementary. And also, they're having an open house tomorrow from 4:30 to 6:30, and parking is very limited. The front parking lot area will be blocked off and not accessible. Please park in the church parking lot. The Outreach for Christian Church is on G Street, and enter the school through the back. So hopefully you all will be able to come, and we're just so proud of our new school and our community. So hopefully you all will be able to come, and those of you all that came to the ribbon cutting, it was good to see all of you.
Fantastic.
And while we're looking at salaries, I was just wondering if maybe some of the department heads could look at some of their employees that have been here, maybe 10, 20, 30 years and haven't had a raise in years. If some of the department heads could look at their salaries also, and maybe give them something. And I wanted to ask Donald Morgan about, is there anything else going on with Piney Oaks or Unity Hall? We still have vagrants that are going into the building. I know that this individual purchased the building, but he's still not keeping it up. It's a hazard, it's an eyesore, and,
I can check with you, we have his address and stuff.
okay,
I have to talk to him.
okay, all right, okay. All right, thank you. And thank you, Chief Bailey, for all that you do. Appreciate you.
Mayor, I have something.
All righty.
Captain Warner, do we have an update on the pagoda?
Yes, the pagoda was gonna be demoed, right before Stratton had started the demolition there. And there was the quote had changed at the last minute. And the current owner had already had a contract to sell, made out, which when the quote had changed, it basically, they had to cancel the demolition of the pagoda. But the good news is that the purchasers that are buying it, they've already had a bunch of testing and stuff done on the site. Their plans are to demo actually the whole parcel, pavement and everything, and they're gonna rebuild something back in that.
Do you have a timeline when they plan on having a demo?
Right now, the timeline is in mid-December. They plan on closing, and they said hopefully by January that they would have something done. We're working with the current owner's attorney right now to see if they can try to push that timeline up as soon as we can get it done.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I have one more thing, or two more things. Thank you, Dr. Dumas, for the speaker for today for Rotary. I thoroughly enjoyed him. And Dolores Kidd is here, and she's an alumni of Stratton. So I just thank you for all that you have done to make that project successful.
And Dolores has a mother who will be 100 years old soon.
Wow, and her mother, your mother attended Stratton too, right? Yes. Your mother and father?
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else from any member of council on a new business? Okay, we're down to public comments. Welcome, Mary West, and as mentioned earlier, you take 6 minutes, please.
First of all, I want to say good evening to everyone
Evening.
and let you all know, I understood what you all were saying, but I wasn't aware of any name calling or anything. When you were speaking about the personalities, no. I am a grown individual, I do not call people out of their names, but I would appreciate, you think I need this? Thank you. But, I would appreciate the kindness shown when you're speaking on my behalf. And also, thank you, Chief. You came out and you asked me in a nice way to shut down. And like I told you, I did it on your behalf. And I seen that there was no harm in what I was doing, trying to get raises for our city employees. And I'm still working on their behalf to get them a raise. These are the people we call when we need help. And now they're needing you all's help to get them where they need to be. They have to overlook their bills to get their medication and all of that. That is a sad thing. Enough is enough. Now I'm gonna say about LaRue Avenue. If you all can't give me the four-way stop, will you give me some speed bumps through there? Please. We are needing something down there to slow these people down. Somebody's child or somebody's family member is gonna get hurt down there on LaRue. So we need some help down there. And if we can get some help down there to deter some of this speeding through there, because it's not a racetrack. And that is all we see. I try to back into my driveway, I get cussed at and all of that. And I want you all to know, I'm not taking too much more of it. Because it doesn't make sense. I am a taxpaying citizen, federally, state, and local. And I need some help down there, so please, give me some help. And remember one thing, I'm not no one's enemy. I make a better friend than I do an enemy. So you all remember, what I do is trying to help. And another thing, that house we tore down across from me, I've been paying to have the grass cut. Not doing it anymore. Because that grass is growing so fast, you all need to find the owner and let them pay someone to cut that grass, or the city pay. But I don't live in a jungle, so I didn't want that continuously growing up in front of me, and I'm looking across the street at the jungle. So, and the same thing with the trees down there. The whole alleyway is clean except for one little patch of trees down there, and I can't even get you all to help cut those trees down to make it a safe area there. What's gonna happen? Please, give me some help, please. That's all I ask of you all, to help me with that street and that neighborhood, so that it can be a better looking place instead of having what we have down there. And I appreciate you all's time, and I thank you all for being where you are. From the left to the right. You all are very much doing a job, and I know how hard your jobs are. I don't knock you doing your jobs. But, you know, we all have to keep in consideration when we're doing things, how the things are being done. And like you said, you had a lot of dignitaries. Well, that's understandable. But that dignitary still smell the same, no matter how you crank it. And I thank you.
Mayor, may I respond to one of Ms. West's comments briefly?
Yes, briefly.
Ever so briefly. I would like for the folks who are attending that can talk to other individuals, other citizens. I've added the route to my jogging strip. And coming up Raleigh Hill, it's a different world in some of those areas in the brush. Folks aren't notifying AEP necessarily of streetlights that are out. And as I'm running in some of those areas at night, it's kind of treacherous. So, I mean, I would just, Mary, thank you, but if we could encourage all of our citizens, it doesn't really fall on the city, but if you send me an email or send your council lady an email.
Actually, they contact,
Right.
it works with a number. It's a number on the
And
poles.
that's it. But we'll help facilitate that, because I'm at night taking pictures of telephone poles, trying to get those numbers so we can get the lights turned on. But you all know your neighborhoods better than when we do, and I'm a visitor when I'm running through, so I notice a lot of them were out. If we can just send your council person a picture of the screenshot of the number on your telephone pole so we can get those lights fixed. It can be a little treacherous in the evenings.
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor.
Dunlap. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Sure. Shakayla Singleton? Three minutes, ma'am.
I don't need that.
Okay.
I didn't get the first, well, the whole everything as far as the food trucks. Like, I'm new to this. Most of y'all in here know me. Some of y'all don't. But I do catering, I cook, and yes, you do. But if you don't, your members do. But yeah, I just need to know the rules and regulations really of where I can and can't set up. Like where I live at is considered commercial area. So if I had my trailer parked at a resident beside me, well, a parking lot beside me, is it okay? Because I know certain places you can have it where you live, but where I live is commercial property, you know what I mean? So I just don't want to, where I'm new, I don't want no violations. I want to be able to set up where I'm supposed to, give everybody what they need, and I have permits and things like that. But now I know where more people are having more trucks and trailers, you have to have more guidelines on where you can and can't set up. You know, I know you have to pay the city one price, or you pay the health department one time, but if Lewis Automotive want me to come set up there, is it okay? If I set up at Gabriel Brothers, is it okay? If I set up at the college, is it okay? Without me having to blow Mr. Rappo up like, hey, is this okay? Can I do this? I don't want to
Mr. Rappo's
call
going
you
to be my
guys.
job. You've been a hard worker.
Hey, and I
remember
tell
the first day
anybody.
you started.
I come right to your office
Yeah,
and
you
ask.
sure did. Yeah, you've done a great
Because I
job.
don't want to get in trouble by anyone, and if
No.
someone do tell me, like he said, talk to us like an individual. You
Yeah.
know, hey, you can't do this, give us a fair warning, let us know what we can do, what we can't do, versus talking down on us or think we have somebody about to come give us a fine when we're trying to make money. So we don't want to pay a fine, we're trying to pay our bills.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
attorney
so just let me
file.
know what we need or
It
what
doesn't
we gotta
supposed to
have.
hurt you.
Attorney file.
We're not there to hurt you.
Oh, yeah, no, but we want to know in advance so we
We
can do
just
what we need to
amended the
do.
ordinance, and Attorney Fowl, I know you probably would be fantastic at explaining, because the ordinance, I read it, and it's sort of lengthy.
Right, and wherever I can find that
But-
too, it's fine, because I'm more than happy to read. I'll
Yeah.
read over everything too, but I
We'll
just
be
didn't
glad,
know-
I'll be glad to speak with you.
Okay.
Call me at the
That
office,
works.
be glad to.
Yeah, that'll work, but as long as I have a copy of
Would
everything
Heather
on
and B and
here,
O
are you okay?
have a handle on that, Bill?
She will.
Yeah, good.
All
Our B and O department should be able to give you some direct guidance very soon.
And that's underneath you,
Yeah.
and we do all
Yeah.
that.
Sure.
We haven't set up the application that you can do with the code enforcement
Right.
department out at the new fire station.
Okay.
And it does involve inspection by the fire marshal
Right.
and some other documentation that we'll need, but we'll have the application out there, and we'll also give out copies of the ordinance to
Okay.
everybody, and we can answer questions that you might have, what you're gonna need. And once you get those inspections, then you'll come up to get the license from the B&O department.
Right,
You
because
should
I
be
had
good.
partnered with the previous food truck. It was already
Yeah.
establishment that was already here, but now I have my own. So where we have our own, we are not used to like someone who already been open 15 years. We're new to this. They already have permits, everything you needed, so as long as we can come over there and get everything from you,
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good job. Jennifer Hensley. There.
I recently attended my very first city council meeting on the 8th of this month, and I'm very, very nervous, and please excuse me, but overall, it wasn't a very harrowing experience for me. It was something that I was obviously not prepared for. However, it piqued interest in me, and I have a lot of questions, and I'm hopefully going to be able to get them answered today. I had read a newspaper article back where the fire department is receiving, $1 million last year in overtime. I actually have 6 years of payroll corporate experience, and I wanted to ask, who is over your payroll? Because typically someone is, that's over your payroll, they allot you a certain amount of hours that you're able to have workers there. That's what a budget is. Now, understandably, the fire department being an emergency department, they absolutely need to have that fund available if the need be. But the firemen are on the clock the whole time. We have one man make $75,000 in nothing but overtime. We had 25 employees for the fire department that made over $20,000 in overtime. And we are begging for city workers to get raises? I'm sorry, I have a little bit of an issue with that. I also read that in the newspaper that, the treasurer wasn't available for remarks. So since I have you here, sir, I was just gonna ask you, do you believe that this is gonna affect any of the raises that the city workers deserve?
What is going to affect it?
The $1 million in overtime that the city paid for the firefighter department?
No.
Okay, so nothing is gonna affect the city workers getting their raises.
We're working through each department
I
to
would
provide.
work on that $1 million overtime.
Well, if
and the
you
payroll.
understood the fire department schedule, they have built-in overtime.
Sure, absolutely, and I absolutely agree they should have built-in overtime. But when you have one person making $75,000 over his $55,000 already pay, and you have men over here working for 24 to 20, I can't even tell you how much a year. It's just, I have questions. I mean, that's a lot of questions, and I just hope that we get some answers because it's gonna be able to all work together for the betterment of the city.
My door's always open. If you want to come in and discuss it, I'd be happy to spend as much
I
time as
feel
you'd
like
like.
everybody would love to hear it.
Well, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Dustin, is that Potter? Dustin Potter.
So every time I get up here, something changes a little bit. And I would give you all the benefit of the doubt and let y'all come to us, I guess, with whatever it is you're doing. Because my thing, anticipation is a killer. We're being kept in the dark right now. And you've got a group of 30 guys down there with a rumor mill. You know, that's kind of what the problem is right now, to where we don't know what's going on. You know, the 6th week that we're here wondering, you know, and I mean, there are some people that are talking about leaving. I mean, it's bad all around as it is already, just with our staffing issues. There's a few people here that aren't here tonight. One guy was talking to me at lunch and said that, you know, this is August, he just broke $14,000. He don't have enough gas to get here tonight. You know, so, like, I've got things in here to say, but I'll just leave it till next meeting. But like I said, the anticipation is, like, it's bothering people. It's putting people on edge, you know, so if we could just kind of be let in just a little bit on what's going on, that would help tremendously, especially with morale. So I appreciate it, and I hope we can come to a conclusion to where, you know, this does benefit everybody. So I appreciate the work that you do and that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. And without disclosing any discussions behind the doors at this point, it's not as simple as we'd all like it to be, but I feel like Public Works will have a much brighter day, and it won't be long, in my opinion. Okay. Is this WODKES, 100 Mankin Avenue, or Martin Drive?
100 Drive?
Yeah. You're- Okay, James. 3 minutes, please, sir.
Yeah, I want to know when we're gonna get the, open door agenda that the police officers got. We want an $8,000 on a year raise, the same as the police officers got. We want y'all to take it up in an open forum and then let us all discuss about it and vote on it. Instead of doing all this stuff behind closed doors is a bunch of crap. I'm not gonna settle for it. If we don't get the $8,000 a year raise, I'll be here every open council meeting that there is for the rest of my life because I have nothing else to do. And I also want to put on there that we need $1.2 million in a budget for new vehicles. The fire department gets new vehicles, the police department gets new vehicles, the board of sanitation gets new vehicles. We want new vehicles. We're running at least 12 vehicles that are 20-plus years old right now. 20-plus years. What? It's disrespectful. I mean, it's bad enough that y'all mistreat us and y'all ignore us, but to not even give us vehicles to
Sir, I don't
work
think
that
you've
we
ever
need.
been mistreated.
Do what?
I've been here 30-plus years. I've never seen Public Works mistreated.
Well, we're underpaid. How's that not mistreated?
There's a big difference.
No, there's not much difference.
Okay, well,
Now, rap hole, you can hold your temper and take this public forum just like a man should. Unless you want to get up and walk behind that closed door like you did before, until I'm done speaking.
how much time do you have, Billy?
About 45 seconds.
45 seconds, sir.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Have a good day.
You too. Danielle Stewart.
Thank you all once again, and Christina has some handouts. Good evening, my name is Danielle Stewart, and I'm here to follow up on the previous discussions about the City of Beckley budget. I printed a few documents for each city council member. The information I used comes from the OpenGov site as well as the State Auditor's Office. As I only have 3 minutes, this will go quick, but I will gladly talk with any of you at any time to go into further detail. The first document is the one I referenced 2 meetings ago, showing the City of Beckley budget numbers as reported to the State Auditor's Office. It shows the budgeted numbers, the actual numbers, the difference between the two, the amount of money in unassigned funds, and the amount of funding in contingency funds. There's been a lot of people talking contingency funds, but the reality is we are talking about unassigned funds, which are two different things, and this table shows both. The second paper is to clear up some information stated at the previous meeting about when the city breaks even. There was a statement made that the city doesn't break even until 8 months into the year. I researched this and I can say it is true, but with the twist. Because of COVID funds and how they were used and reported, the OpenGov site showed that in 2022-2023, the city was $4 million over budget, and every single month the city brought in less money than it spent. 2021-2022 is split about even between months with losses and increases. That said, those years are all skewed because of COVID. We know the city did not spend $4 million more than it budgeted if it didn't have the money. It was a trick of the budget. What I do know with certainty is that as of today, through July and August, the city has brought in almost $2.5 million more in revenue than there were expenses. However, that doesn't account for everything for the month. But this is where budget tricks can make something appear different than what it really is. Do you, as city council, have enough information to know the truth? The next document I have is the answer to the question of what did Beckley do with ARPA funds? As you can see, funds went to revenue replacement, public employee bonuses, payroll costs for public safety, clean water infrastructure, other public health expenses, and just a tiny bit to nonprofits. Yet during the same time period, the city of Beckley showed a $10 million surplus. How could this be? More accounting tricks. Honestly, many other municipalities and even our state did the exact same thing, but did you know it was happening? I could talk all day about this, but I won't have the time, and I think I've driven my point home. Why are people upset over pay raises? Because nobody knows the full truth. Why are people upset over the country club and Zins? Because nobody knows the full truth. This is not good governance. Any organization is only as strong as its members, and as long as information is falsely reported, misreported, misspoken, misconstrued, or simply not even provided, nobody in this city can make good decisions. I again encourage city council to
15
exercise its
seconds,
authority
Daniel.
in accordance with the city charter and code of ordinances.
15 seconds.
Neither strong mayor or city manager can alleviate the authority and the responsibility of this council to be good stewards of our city. Please, learn to say no until you have the information you need to make good decisions. Thank you.
Good. Anthony, we have anybody signed up to speak?
We do have a couple members in attendance, but I do not know if they are.
I'll read these instructions just in case. For public comments, if calling in by phone, dial *3 to raise your hand. If connected by computer, click the hand icon on your participants panel to be recognized. We have anybody raising their hand, Anthony?
It does not appear anybody raising their hand.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for attending.